Nietzsche said that loneliness is not the absence of people, but the presence of your true self, and what he discovered about men who choose solitude will either terrify you or set you free. Right now, while you are watching this, there are men living alone, not because they failed at relationships, not because they are broken, but because they discovered something the crowd will never understand. They found what Nietzsche called the secret to self-overcoming. And in the next 20 minutes, I am going to reveal 7 dark truths about these men that society desperately wants to keep hidden. Because once you understand what I am about to share, everything you think you know about loneliness, success, and masculinity will never be the same. Stay with me because this goes deeper than you can imagine. Let me tell you about Marcus. 34 years old, successful architect, lives in a minimalist loft downtown. His family thinks he is going through a phase. His friends think he is afraid of commitment. His co-workers think he is lonely. But Marcus knows something they do not. He discovered what Nietzsche wrote in Thus Spoke Zarathustra. In solitude, the solitary man devours himself, but in the multitude, the many devour him. Marcus is not running from connection. He is protecting his power. Every morning, Marcus wakes up at 5, trains for an hour, works on his architecture firm until noon, then spends afternoons on his passion project, designing sustainable housing for developing countries. No compromises, no negotiations, no energy divided between someone else's needs and his vision. His ex-girlfriend once told him, "You are selfish for choosing your dreams over us." But Nietzsche would say Marcus chose self-overcoming over self-destruction. Here is the first dark truth. Men who live alone are not avoiding relationships. They are avoiding the death of their potential. Society will never tell you this, but every relationship requires sacrifice, and most men sacrifice the wrong things. They sacrifice their ambitions for approval, their vision for comfort, their becoming for belonging. Nietzsche understood this deeply. He wrote, "The individual has always had to struggle not to be overwhelmed by the tribe." The men who live alone are not struggling. They already won that battle. They chose themselves. But society cannot accept this because society needs you weak, distracted, manageable. Think about every successful man you admire. The ones changing industries, building empires, creating things that did not exist before. Now count how many of them have traditional stable marriages where they come home at 6 every evening, watch TV, and live the suburban dream. Not many. Why? Because greatness demands what Nietzsche called the will to power, the drive to overcome yourself constantly, to become more than you were yesterday. Marriage as commonly practiced does not support that. It stabilizes you, makes you predictable, turns your dangerous energy into safe routines. The man who lives alone keeps his energy undivided. He is not splitting his focus between building his empire and maintaining domestic peace. He is not negotiating his gym time, his work hours, his creative process. Every ounce of his will to power goes into his self-creation. That is the first truth, and it terrifies people because it exposes the lie they have been telling themselves, that relationships complete you. Nietzsche would laugh at that. You do not need completion. You need space to create yourself. But there is something even darker happening here. Something about what these men discover when they strip away society's expectations and face themselves completely naked and alone. The second dark truth is this. Men who live alone discover their authentic desires versus their programmed desires, and the difference is devastating. Arthur Schopenhauer, the philosopher who deeply influenced Nietzsche, wrote that most of what we call love is actually the will to life, nature's biological trick to make us reproduce. He said, marrying means to have one's rights and double one's duties. But men who live alone long enough start seeing through the programming. They notice which desires are truly theirs, and which ones were installed by family, culture, advertising, social pressure. Let me introduce you to James. James spent his 20s dating seriously, following the script. Meet girl, fall in love, plan future, repeat. Every relationship followed the same pattern. Excitement, comfort, boredom, resentment, breakup. Then at 32, James tried something radical. He lived alone for 2 years, completely alone. No dating, no hookups, nothing. Just him and his thoughts. What he discovered changed everything. Most of what he thought he wanted in a relationship was not his desire at all. The big wedding, he realized he only wanted that because his mother kept talking about it. The desire to have kids by 35, that was just social pressure masked as biological clock. The need for a partner who shared every interest, that was fear of being alone with himself. After 2 years of solitude, James understood what Schopenhauer meant. The desires that remain when you strip away all external programming, those are your authentic desires. Everything else is the herd's voice pretending to be yours. Now James dates differently. He is not looking for someone to complete him because he knows he is already complete. He is not following a timeline because he knows timelines are social constructs. He is not afraid to walk away because he knows solitude is not punishment, it is power. Here is what society does not want you to realize. The average man never discovers his authentic self because he is never alone long enough. He goes from living with parents to college roommates to moving in with a girlfriend to marriage to kids. 40 years pass and he never spent 6 months truly alone, facing himself without distraction. Nietzsche called this the last man, the person who blinks and says what is love, what is creation, what is longing. The last man lives longest but never truly lives. Men who choose solitude are refusing to be the last man. They are doing what Nietzsche demanded. Becoming who they are, not who society programs them to be. But this creates a problem. Once you see through the programming, you cannot unsee it, and that leads to the third dark truth. Men who live alone become dangerous to the system because they stop responding to the usual controls. Let me explain what I mean. Every society runs on invisible chains. Debt chains you to a job. Relationships chain you to predictability. Children chain you to responsibility. None of these are inherently bad, but they are control mechanisms, whether we admit it or not. Jean-Paul Sartre understood this. He wrote, "Man is condemned to be free." Condemned because freedom is a burden most people desperately want to escape. Sartre was engaged, had the ring set the date, then walked away. Not because he did not love her, but because he refused what he called bad faith, the lie you tell yourself to avoid the weight of your own freedom. Men who live alone embrace that weight. They cannot blame their lack of success on family obligations. They cannot hide behind "we decided together" when they are unhappy. They cannot use "we need stability" as an excuse for not taking risks. Every choice is theirs. Every consequence is theirs. Every possibility is theirs. That is terrifying, and that is powerful. Think about how society controls you. Work hard so you can afford the house for your family. Do not take that risk, you have people depending on you. Calm down, you have responsibilities. Every message is the same. Your obligations matter more than your potential. But men who live alone have fewer obligations, and that makes them unpredictable. They can quit the corporate job to start the business. They can move to another country to chase the opportunity. They can say no without needing to consult anyone. This is why society pressures single men so hard. When are you settling down? When are you getting serious? When are you growing up? Growing up is code for becoming controllable. Settling down means stopping your dangerous movement. Getting serious means abandoning your authentic desires for approved ones. Nietzsche saw through all of it. He wrote, "The surest way to corrupt a youth is to instruct him to hold in higher esteem those who think alike than those who think differently." Society wants you to esteem the married, the stable, the domesticated. But the men who live alone esteem something different. Authenticity over approval, growth over comfort, power over safety. And once a man tastes that freedom, once he experiences what it means to answer only to his own vision, the system loses its grip on him. That is the third dark truth, and it explains why every culture throughout history has pushed men toward marriage and family. Not for the man's benefit, but for society's control. But there is something even darker that happens to men in prolonged solitude. Something philosophers discovered that most people never experience. The fourth dark truth is this: Men who live alone confront what Albert Camus called the absurd, and instead of running from it, they learn to dance with it. Camus wrote about the fundamental human condition. We crave meaning in a universe that offers none. We want purpose in a cosmos that does not care. Most people cannot handle this truth, so they run into relationships, careers, causes, anything to distract from the void. But men who live alone cannot run. They sit with the absurd every single day. 3 a.m., alone in your apartment. No partner sleeping next to you. No kids to wake you up. Just you and the infinite silence of existence. That moment breaks most men. They grab their phones, swipe through dating apps, text an ex, anything to fill the void. But some men, the rare ones, they sit in that discomfort and discover what Camus called lucid indifference. Not depression, not nihilism, but radical acceptance of life's meaninglessness combined with the fierce determination to create meaning anyway. Camus wrote we must imagine Sisyphus happy, finding joy in the absurd task of pushing the boulder uphill forever, knowing it will roll back down. Men who live alone become Sisyphus by choice. They accept that no relationship will complete them, no achievement will satisfy them permanently, no purpose will erase the fundamental absurdity of existence. And paradoxically, that acceptance gives them power. When you stop needing external validation, when you stop requiring relationships to prove you are worthy, when you accept the void and choose to create meaning anyway, you become unstoppable. Let me tell you about Daniel. Daniel is a documentary filmmaker, 41 years old, lives alone in a cabin he built himself outside Seattle. He spends months alone researching, filming, editing. His documentaries have won awards, but that is not why he makes them. He makes them because in the silence of his solitude, he confronted the absurd and decided if life has no inherent meaning, then he would create meaning through his work. His films explore human suffering, environmental collapse, social injustice, heavy topics. People ask him, how do you deal with such darkness? His answer would make Camus proud. I do not deal with it. I face it directly because pretending the darkness does not exist does not make it disappear. Daniel's solitude taught him something most people never learn. You do not need to be happy all the time. You do not need to avoid discomfort. You do not need a partner to make life bearable. You need the courage to face existence as it is meaningless, absurd, often painful, and the creativity to build something beautiful anyway. That is the fourth dark truth. Men who live alone are not running from life's hardness. They are running toward it. Understanding that authentic existence requires confronting what most people spend their entire lives avoiding. But this creates a strange paradox that reveals the fifth dark truth. The fifth dark truth is that men who live alone become simultaneously more connected and more detached than anyone else. This sounds contradictory, but Nietzsche understood it perfectly. He wrote, "The lonely one offers his hand too quickly to whomever he encounters." Men who have truly mastered solitude do not need people, but precisely because they do not need people, they can connect more authentically when they choose to. Think about your average married man. He connects with his wife out of obligation, sees his friends when permitted, networks for career advancement. Every connection serves a function, fills a need, maintains a system. But men who live alone connect differently. They have no obligation to see anyone, so when they do spend time with someone, it is pure choice. No hidden agendas, no unmet needs driving the interaction, no fear of being alone making them tolerate bad company. This creates what philosophers call authentic relating. Soren Kierkegaard wrote, "The most painful state of being is remembering the future, particularly the one you will never have." But men who live alone are not haunted by futures they will never have, because they are not living someone else's script. When they connect with others, they bring their whole selves, not the edited version that fits into relationship roles. I know a man named Thomas, software engineer, lives alone, travels 6 months per year. He has deeper friendships than most married men I know. Why? Because Thomas learned what Nietzsche meant by selective attachment. He does not maintain friendships out of history or obligation. He connects with people who challenge him, inspire him, match his energy. When Thomas meets someone remarkable, he gives them his full presence. No phone checking, no mental to-do lists, no splitting attention between them and a partner at home. Then he leaves, sometimes for months. His friends understand this. They do not take it personally because Thomas taught them something crucial. Real connection does not require constant proximity. It requires authenticity when you are together, and respect when you are apart. Society hates this because society needs you dependent. It needs you afraid of being alone, so you will tolerate mediocre relationships, stay in bad marriages, cling to friendships that died years ago. But men who live alone have transcended that fear. They know loneliness and solitude are completely different things. Loneliness is feeling alone in a crowd, disconnected from yourself. Solitude is being alone and connected to yourself. Most married men are lonely. Most single men by choice are in solitude. That is the fifth dark truth, and it reveals why these men often have more meaningful connections despite having fewer relationships. Quality versus quantity. Depth versus breadth. Authentic relating versus obligatory interaction. Nietzsche would say these men embody the overmen not because they are perfect, but because they are authentic. But there is a shadow side to this truth that brings us to the sixth dark revelation about men who live alone. They develop what Nietzsche called the coldness of the heights, a psychological state that makes them seem almost inhuman to others. The sixth dark truth is this: men who live alone for extended periods develop a level of self-sufficiency that others find unsettling or even threatening. They stop needing the things normal people need: constant validation, social approval, emotional support systems. This is not sociopathy. This is what happens when you truly face yourself and integrate your shadow. Nietzsche wrote in Thus Spoke Zarathustra about going into the mountains alone, into the cold, into the heights where the air is thin and most people cannot breathe. He was talking about psychological altitude. Most people live at sea level emotionally. They need the thick air of constant social interaction, the warmth of approval, the comfort of fitting in. But men who ascend to the heights learn to breathe thin air. They adapt to the cold. They no longer need what they once needed. Let me introduce you to Richard. Richard is a mathematician, 47 years old, lives alone, barely speaks to anyone for weeks at a time. His family thinks he is depressed. His former colleagues think he is odd. But Richard is working on problems that maybe 10 people in the world can understand. He told me once that relationships feel like trying to explain color to someone who has only ever seen in black and white, not because he thinks he is superior, but because his solitude allowed him to develop parts of his mind that require silence to access. Richard embodies what Schopenhauer called the genius, someone so absorbed in intellectual pursuit that normal human concerns fade into background noise. This makes him cold to others, not because he lacks feeling, but because his feelings operate on a different frequency now. When Richard does interact with people, he is kind, patient, generous. But he does not need their approval. He does not fear their judgment. He does not crave their company. This freaks people out because humans are deeply social animals, and we instinctively distrust those who do not need the tribe. Here is what happened. Richard's brother confronted him last year. "You have become cold. You have lost your humanity. You need to reconnect with people." Richard's response was pure Nietzsche. "I have not lost my humanity. I have found a different way of being human. One that does not require constant validation from others to feel real." That is the sixth dark truth. Men who live alone long enough develop a psychological independence that makes them aliens in normal society. They can move through the world, but they no longer belong to it in the way others do. This is not better or worse, it is simply different. Nietzsche called these men free spirits, those who have cut the cords that bind most people to conventional existence. But cutting those cords comes with a price, and that brings us to the seventh and darkest truth about men who live alone. The seventh dark truth is this: men who live alone eventually reach what Nietzsche called the eternal return, the moment when they must decide if they would live the exact same life again and again forever. This is the ultimate test of whether their solitude is authentic choice or sophisticated avoidance. Nietzsche wrote, "What if some day or night a demon were to steal after you into your loneliest loneliness, and say to you, this life as you now live it, and have lived it, you will have to live once more and innumerable times more. Would you throw yourself down and curse the demon, or would you answer, you are a god, I have never heard anything more divine?" That question separates men who chose solitude from power versus men who chose it from fear. I have met both types. The first type, let me call him Adrian. Adrian is 52, wealthy from selling his tech company, lives alone in a beach house, surfs every morning, reads philosophy every afternoon, hosts dinner parties for interesting people every few weeks. Adrian chose solitude after 2 failed marriages, not because he hates relationships, but because he discovered he is more himself alone. If you asked Adrian the eternal return question, he would say yes without hesitation. His solitude is not escape, it is expression of his authentic self. Then there is Brian. Brian is 48, lives alone, works remotely, barely leaves his apartment. Brian chose solitude after a painful divorce because being alone feels safer than risking hurt again. His solitude is protection, not power. If you asked Brian the eternal return question, he would struggle because deep down, he knows he is hiding, not choosing. This is the crucial distinction Nietzsche forces us to make. Solitude as authentic choice versus solitude as sophisticated avoidance. One leads to self-overcoming, the other leads to stagnation. How do you know which one you are? Nietzsche gives us the test. The man who chooses solitude from power creates. He builds, writes, makes, contributes, grows. His alone time generates output. The man who chooses solitude from fear consumes. He watches, scrolls, numbs, distracts, shrinks. His alone time generates nothing. Look at the evidence in your own life. When you are alone, are you becoming more or less? Are you facing your demons or hiding from them? Are you using solitude to sharpen yourself or dull yourself? The answer to those questions reveals everything. Immanuel Kant wrote that autonomy means self-legislation, giving yourself your own laws. Men who truly live alone in the Nietzschean sense are autonomous. They create their own values, set their own standards, judge themselves by their own measures. They are not alone because they failed at connection. They are alone because connection on society's terms would require abandoning their self-authored life. But Kant also warned that autonomy requires radical honesty. You cannot lie to yourself about why you make the choices you make. If you are alone because you are afraid, admit it. If you are alone because you are building something that requires undivided focus, own it. If you are alone because you have not found someone who matches your authentic self, rather than your programmed self, acknowledge it. The 7th dark truth is that men who live alone must constantly interrogate their own motivations, because solitude can be either the forge where you become your strongest self, or the cave where you hide from the world. Nietzsche would say only, you know which one it is, and you know by the fruits of your solitude. What are you creating? Who are you becoming? What would you answer if the demon asked you to live this exact life eternally? Your honest answer to that question reveals whether your solitude is authentic power or sophisticated weakness. Now here is what all 7 dark truths point to. Men who live alone are not broken, incomplete, or failing at life. They are conducting an experiment in human potential that society does not want you to attempt. They are testing whether a man can be complete without external completion, powerful without external validation, connected without constant proximity, authentic without approval. Some of them succeed magnificently and become what Nietzsche called overmen, creators of new values, pioneers of different ways of being human. Some of them fail and become what Schopenhauer feared, isolated, bitter, trapped in their own mental prisons. The difference is not whether they live alone, but why they live alone and what they do with that aloneness. If you are watching this and you live alone, ask yourself right now, with brutal honesty, am I using my solitude to forge myself into something greater, or am I using it to hide from my own potential? Am I alone because I am becoming who I truly am, or am I alone because I am afraid of showing who I truly am? Your answer determines everything. Nietzsche wrote, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." If your solitude has a why, a purpose, a direction, then all 7 dark truths become advantages. You are not avoiding relationships, you are protecting your potential. You are not cold, you are focused. You are not isolated, you are selectively connected. But if your solitude has no why, if it is just drift, avoidance, fear dressed up as philosophy, then all 7 dark truths become warnings. You are not powerful, you are hiding. You are not authentic, you are afraid. You are not choosing, you are running. The philosophers I shared with you today, Nietzsche, Schopenhauer, Sartre, Camus, Kierkegaard, Kant, all of them lived alone for significant periods. All of them used that solitude to create works that changed human thought forever. They proved that men who live alone can achieve what men in conventional relationships rarely do. They can think thoughts no one has thought, create values no one has created, become selves no one has become. But they also showed that solitude alone is not enough. You must combine it with courage, honesty, creativity, and purpose. You must use your aloneness as a laboratory for self-experimentation, not a coffin for self-burial. That is the deepest truth behind all 7 dark truths. Solitude is neither good nor bad, it is a tool. In the hands of a coward, it becomes a cage. In the hands of a creator, it becomes a forge. Which one are you building? Only you can answer that, and your life is the evidence. These 7 dark truths about men who live alone are not meant to convince you to live alone or to stay in relationships. They are meant to wake you up to the reality that however you live, you must live authentically. You must know why you make the choices you make. You must be honest about what drives you. You must create meaning rather than inherit it. That is what Nietzsche meant by becoming who you are. Not who society expects, not who your family wants, not who your friends approve of, but who you actually are when you strip away all the programming, all the fear, all the lies you tell yourself. Men who live alone have the advantage of fewer distractions in that search, but they also have the disadvantage of no excuses. Everything falls on them. Every choice, every consequence, every possibility, every failure. That weight either crushes you or makes you diamond. The philosophers chose diamond. Which will you choose? This video disturbed something in you because truth always disturbs. It made you question assumptions you never questioned before. That discomfort is not a problem, it is a signal. Your authentic self is trying to speak, and years of social programming are trying to silence it. Listen to the discomfort. Right now, write in the comments, "I choose authentic solitude over comfortable conformity." Those 8 words separate men who are ready to face what these philosophers faced from men who will spend their lives wondering what they could have become. Drop those words below and commit publicly to the path of self-overcoming. Because once you say it out loud, once you declare your intention to the world, something shifts inside you. The herd loses its power, and your will to power awakens. After you comment, hit the subscribe button because what you just experienced is only the beginning. The next videos go even deeper into the traps society uses to tame dangerous men, and the philosophical weapons you need to break free. Every video on this channel is designed to wake up one more man to his authentic potential, and the algorithm shows these videos to people who are ready for them. By subscribing, you are telling the universe you are ready for more truth, no matter how dark, no matter how uncomfortable, no matter how much it challenges everything you thought you knew. Then hit the like button, not because I need validation, but because every like pushes this message to another man who needs to hear it. Somewhere right now there is a man sitting alone in his apartment, wondering if he is broken for not wanting the conventional path. Your like might be what gets this video in front of him. Your engagement might be what saves him from years of living someone else's life. That is what this channel is about. Waking up men one video at a time to the philosophical truths that society desperately tries to hide. And here is what is coming next. I am about to reveal something about modern masculinity that is even more disturbing than what you just learned. Something about how society does not just want you married, it wants you confused about your own nature. The next video exposes a psychological operation that has been running for decades, designed to make you doubt the very instincts that could make you powerful. I am not telling you what it is called because the title would give too much away, but I promise you this. If this video made you uncomfortable, the next one will make you furious. Not at me, but at the system that has been manipulating you since childhood. Watch for it in your feed. When you see it, you will know. Until then, stay dangerous, stay authentic, stay alone, if that is what your becoming requires. Nietzsche left us one final instruction. You must be ready to burn yourself in your own flame. How could you rise anew if you have not first become ashes? The fire is waiting, walk into it.